Have you ever felt like the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders? Yet deep inside, there's a whisper that says, "You were made for more." It's no coincidence you found this message. Life has thrown you into battles that seem unfair, seasons of waiting that feel endless, and struggles that test your very soul. But let me tell you something. These moments aren't punishment. They're preparation. They're the refining fire for the chosen ones. Here's the hard truth. Being set apart comes with a cost. It's not the easy path. It's the narrow one. Yet this is your confirmation. Your pain has a purpose. Your trials are leading somewhere, and God hasn't forgotten you. You're closer than you think to the breakthrough you've been praying for. The question is, will you rise to the call, or will you let fear hold you back? The answer lies in what you'll uncover next. Life has a way of putting certain people on paths that feel heavier, more challenging, and undeniably unique. These are the chosen ones, the individuals destined for greatness. Though their journey often feels like anything but. It's easy to question why the trials come so relentlessly. But here's the truth. Each obstacle is shaping them for a purpose far beyond what they can imagine. Faith becomes their compass, and perseverance their fuel. Imagine the sculptor chiseling a rough stone. This process is uncomfortable, but reveals a masterpiece. During these seasons of hardship, trusting in God's plan becomes a daily exercise of faith. It's not blind trust. It's built on the promises written in His Word. A chosen one may feel forgotten in their wilderness, but this is where faith grows stronger. Consider David tending sheep, unseen and undervalued, yet destined for kingship. His perseverance through obscurity laid the foundation for his victory. That same perseverance can transform your struggles into stepping stones. Let's not overlook how empowering it is to reframe the battle. Think about those sleepless nights or moments of doubt. They're not signs of failure, but signals of growth. God equips the chosen ones with resilience that seems impossible until they're in the middle of the storm. Use these moments to speak life into your situation. Affirmations like, "God's promises for me will not fail," or "This struggle is preparing me for my breakthrough," can make all the difference. And here's the kicker. These trials are never random. For the chosen ones, every tear, every prayer, every moment of silence is a piece of the puzzle. Even when the picture is incomplete, trust that it's leading to something greater. And speaking of greater, let's talk about those struggles themselves. They're not what they seem. Struggles have a way of creeping in, don't they? Those sleepless nights filled with worries or the pain that feels never-ending. Yet, they're often the birthplace of breakthroughs. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his brothers and thrown into a pit. It must have seemed like the end, but it was the very path that led him to the palace. Struggles are like stepping stones. They may be rough, but they're necessary to cross over to your destiny. What's crucial in these moments is perspective. Pain can either paralyze you or push you forward, and the chosen ones are called to let it do the latter. Take a small, actionable step today. Write down a list of things you've overcome in the past. That list will remind you that if God carried you then, He will do it again. Struggles might seem endless, but they're finite. And within them lies the key to spiritual growth. Ever felt like giving up? You're not alone. The key to persevering through struggles is remembering the promises of God. When Joseph was in prison, he could have surrendered to despair. Instead, he stayed faithful in small tasks, which eventually prepared him for big moments. You too can find purpose in the middle of the pain by focusing on what's in your control. Start a gratitude journal, pray intentionally, or even help someone else who's struggling. It's in giving that you find strength. And remember, your struggle isn't without reason. It's setting the stage for your breakthrough. Just like the darkest hour is just before dawn, your hardest battle often comes right before victory. Speaking of promises, let's delve deeper into the unshakable ones God has made to His chosen ones. God's promises are unbreakable, even when life feels like a whirlwind of unanswered questions. Look at Abraham and Sarah. They waited decades for the fulfillment of God's promise for a child. Imagine the doubt that must have crept in, the whispers of, "Maybe this isn't meant for me." Yet, Despite the delay, the promise came to pass. It wasn't about their timing. It was about divine timing. For the chosen ones, this truth should be a lifeline during moments of uncertainty. Promises from God aren't just words, they're covenant-level commitments. If you've ever doubted that, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Can you think of a time when something seemed impossible, yet worked out beyond your imagination? That's not coincidence. That's His faithfulness. His promises are often fulfilled in ways we least expect. This is why it's essential to keep faith alive, even when the road ahead looks foggy. There's an active role in holding on to these promises. Waiting isn't passive. Abraham trusted God by stepping out into an unknown land, a leap of faith that solidified his trust in the unseen. Likewise, you can live as though the promise is already fulfilled. Create a vision board or write a letter to your future self, thanking God for what's coming. These simple acts can anchor your heart to hope. What makes God's promises so remarkable is that they withstand every obstacle, every delay, and every doubt. They're immovable, even when everything else seems shaky. And while waiting may stretch your patience, it's in that waiting season that God is often working the most. Let's talk about what it means to wait well, shall we? Waiting, it's the part of the journey nobody enjoys, yet it holds the greatest potential for growth. Think about the wilderness seasons in the Bible. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading his people, and Jesus fasted in the wilderness before beginning his ministry. These waiting periods weren't idle, they were divine preparation. For the chosen ones, waiting isn't a punishment. It's where God refines and readies them for the promise ahead. In the wilderness, faith is tested and strengthened. It's where distractions are stripped away, and dependence on God becomes the only option. If you feel like you're stuck in a holding pattern, take this time to assess your spiritual growth. Are you praying more intentionally? Are you diving into Scripture, seeking wisdom and understanding? The wilderness isn't a void. It's a classroom for faith. Waiting also brings clarity about what truly matters. During these seasons, you might discover that some doors were never meant to open or that certain relationships weren't aligned with God's plan. Use this time to reflect on where you've been and where God is calling you to go. Start journaling, fasting, or even serving in a new way. These are practical ways to make the waiting season purposeful. The beauty of waiting is that it always leads somewhere. God doesn't waste time or experiences. Just as a seed needs time in the soil before it becomes a tree, your waiting season is cultivating something profound. And while you're waiting, breakthrough often draws closer than you think. Let's explore how faith-driven action can bring that breakthrough to light. Topic 5. Breakthrough is near. Breakthrough often arrives disguised as an ordinary moment that shifts everything. Think about the woman with the issue of blood. 12 years of suffering, countless doctors, and no solution. Yet, one faith-driven action changed her life. She pushed through the crowd, touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and found her healing. Her story is a testament that breakthroughs aren't just about timing. They're about persistent faith and action. For the chosen ones, the road to breakthrough requires boldness. It's not enough to sit back and wait for change to happen. You must step forward in faith. Is there a decision you've been hesitating to make? A risk you're scared to take? Breakthrough often comes when you dare to act, even when fear whispers otherwise. Start small. Send that email, apply for that position, or have that difficult conversation. Faith isn't passive, it's active. What's incredible about breakthroughs is that they come when they're least expected. Just like the woman in the crowd, you might feel like you've reached your limit, yet one more step can unlock everything. Remember, God's promises aren't delayed. They're aligned with His perfect timing. This is where perseverance comes in. Keep praying, keep believing, and keep moving forward. The finish line is closer than you think. The tension between waiting and acting is part of the process. It stretches your faith and strengthens your resolve. But here's the good news. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Let's dive into how God's protection surrounds the chosen ones in the face of every challenge. Topic 6. God's protection. For the chosen ones, challenges are inevitable, but so is God's protection. The promise that no weapon formed against you shall prosper isn't just comforting, it's empowering. This doesn't mean the weapons won't form. It means they won't succeed. Think about Daniel in the lion's den. The danger was real, but God's defense was stronger. His protection shielded Daniel, turning what could have been a tragedy into a triumph. God's protection isn't always visible, but it's always present. Sometimes it's in the form of doors that close or relationships that end, sparing you from unseen harm. Other times, it's in the peace you feel during chaos, a peace that doesn't make sense but carries you through. Look back on your life. Can you recall moments where things worked out against all odds? That's the armor of God at work. Practical steps can help you lean into this divine protection. Start your day with prayer, asking for wisdom and guidance. Speak words of protection over yourself and your family, such as Psalm 91. Surround yourself with community, other believers who can stand in agreement with you during hard times. These actions may seem small, but they build a shield of faith that nothing can penetrate. Even as battles rage around you, remember that you're never alone. God fights for the chosen ones, ensuring that every trial, every struggle becomes a stepping stone toward victory. And victory isn't just the end of the journey. It's the next chapter in your divine story. Every challenge you face is a sign that you're being prepared for something extraordinary. The struggles, the waiting, and the battles aren't here to defeat you. They're here to sharpen you, to ready you for the breakthrough you've been seeking. So let me ask you, what will you do with everything you've learned today? Will you step out in faith, trusting that God's promises for you are unshakable? Or will you let doubt keep you in the wilderness? It's time to take action. Start journaling your prayers, declare victory over your battles, and remind yourself daily that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Engage with this message, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment about how this resonates with your journey. Let's start a conversation about what it truly means to walk as one of the chosen ones. And don't stop here. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss these life-changing insights. Together, we'll keep growing, keep learning, and keep pushing toward the divine destiny God has set before us. Your breakthrough is nearer than you think. Are you ready to claim it?